I talk to my son is I don't want to corner him into a box because you know what?
Well, because don't forget, look, don't forget that we now as parents are in that phase where we understand that based on this development, like you just said, there may be things that we don't even know yet that will exist, which was not the case for our parents. Our parents could not, they could have bet their entire, livelihood, their house, that where we are today would have never ever happened.
Well, look, there was the exception, right? Like if I told my dad in university I'm going into digital marketing, like he wouldn't understand that, right?
Yeah, no, but before university, man, like let's say at the age of your son right now, okay, 11 years old, when you were 11, okay, think about it, right before you go into high school, you tell your dad, I'm going to go into technology because in the future, you'll be able to have a cell phone that will be able to show you a map of your village in Greece in seconds. You'd get a, you get a,
yeah, of course.
you'd get slapped across the face. Like, what are you talking about?
You'd get a look minimum. It would be a look minimum. Yeah.
So they didn't have that reflex because we didn't have that sort of evolution. Now, us as parents, we're there. We see this, and obviously, we have a little more intellect to understand what's going on, and
more information.
Absolutely, and more.
A lot of stuff is exposed now, right?
Yeah, to be able to project what may happen, or even if you don't know what may happen, you're aware that there's things that will happen that you don't know about, right? Like technologically in terms of advancement. So yeah, boxing in your kid to think that, look, there's doctors, there's engineers, you can be a teacher, you can whatever it is. Yeah, you are definitely boxing the kid in, but at the same time, how do you? I don't know. How do you even start by guiding your kids? Or
you don't. The guiding can. Yeah, no, it's a good question. What you're asking, George. But you can guide. You can guide based on career. You got to guide in terms of values. You got to guide in terms of things that haven't changed in thousands of years. The fundamentals. You know what I mean? You can guide within like career.
No, but see, everything is going to change. This, and I always use our parents' generation as an example because they knew that if you went and told them back in the 90s that I want to be a rock star versus that I want to go get a university diploma, they would know, okay, let me steer him towards university diploma versus, all right, son, go, play music or do art and nothing against musicians or artists out there.
Yeah.
Mentality. So they had that kind of, they had whatever they needed to say, okay, I got to steer my kid there because there it's the red zone. Like there's a lot of flags.
It's different. It's different from us. It's different for us.
Now it's different because first of all, you cannot follow that same pattern because, like you said, it's night and day, right? Like we know now at this early stage in parenthood, even though our kids are far from the marketplace, the workforce, you know that, and we've spoken about this in other episodes, where if your kid tells you that I want to be a YouTuber, you're gonna be like, you know what, let me encourage it because you know that there's money there, or you know that there's a future, you know that there's a whole world of opportunity, even though it's completely different from the reality of what your parents would probably tell you. What are you talking about? Making videos? Are you crazy? You're gonna get a diploma. Yeah. So we're in that middle ground where we understand what could work versus what cannot work, but at the same time, because there's still an unknown out there, how do you know where to steer?
And it was a different paradigm, right? To go back to our parents' paradigm was the play it safe mentality, right? It was risk reward. Like keep the risk low and the reward low, but it's safe.
Yeah.
Right. And back then a rock star was like high risk, but high reward. An actor was a high risk, but a high reward because there was 1 out of 5 million, let's say, that made it.
Yeah.
So our parents understood that. So that was the paradigm. It was like, today you don't have that kind of risk reward. You're thinking what's going to be relevant, what's not going to be relevant. And you're kind of thinking more, I want my kid to be happy, right? We think more like this today. We don't think like, oh, go. And you know what? Back then, if I told my dad, you know what, I'm miserable at my job, he wouldn't tell me leave.
live with it.
He would say, "God, you got to do what you got to do," because that's the mentality. Today, we have evolved a little bit more into thinking like, you know what, you have choices, and whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not saying, I'm not giving my opinion on that. I'm just saying that today we kind of tend to think more, you know what, go and do what your passion is, go and be happy, and you're not stuck anywhere. You have choices, you can navigate and do whatever you want. So it's almost operating through different paradigms.
But you know why though? Because we know and we've seen it so many times that there are tools available that whatever you're interested in, if you put in the effort, you can actually make it. It's not impossible. It's like back in the 80s, 90s, if you told your dad, because you're a virtuoso guitarist, that I want to be a guitarist and I want to do music, it would be like a hard no. It was like, no way.
But yeah, not in this house.
Forget about it.
Yeah, not in this house.
So, but today, because you've already seen it happen, like, I mean, we're talking about this the other day with George, we're sending each other videos, like, look at this guy. Like, everyone has like this tremendous talent and they're making money because they figured out the tools that exist now to showcase their talent and actually get paid and get paid well, or get, publicities or sponsors or whatever it is, become like, quote unquote influencers in whatever domain that they're good in. Mm-hmm. We know that, we've seen it. So, but I still think that we're almost still attached to the other reality that we've inherited from our parents, where it's like, do we go to the safe route, or do we go here where I know it works, I've seen it, but I don't really understand it, and besides, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future with this. Like, there's still a few unknown factors, but you do understand it though, and you can kind of relate to it. You're like, yeah, it does make sense. I've seen it. I get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, you're right.